This is God.
Don't you blame the movies! Movies don't create psychos! Movies make psychos or create a...
Missed us. Because you were home.
Welcome back to the 2023 Halloween Spooktacular. As I said, this year I'm going to try and focus a little bit more on franchise movies. And we're going to be talking about the first in a franchise now, and that is Child's Play. From 1988, I reviewed the remake of Child's Play when it came out in 2019. Child's Play is a fun movie. I don't think this is the best Child's Play movie, honestly. Well, it probably is the best Child's Play. I should rephrase that because it's not my favorite Child's Play movie, but I think it is the best. I think there's a difference between best and favorite. I think you can easily acknowledge that a later installment for me, Child's Play 2, which I will talk about either at the end of this year or probably next year, is your favorite. It's the one you had the most fun with. It's the one that's most entertaining. But the best one for sure is definitely this one. This one is the one that really sets this series in motion. This killer doll, Chucky. Okay, what makes this so effective for me is that when the killings start happening, when the actual suspense and tension is there, the tension and suspense is built. You see POV shots from the perspective of Chucky, but what the movie does to try and fool you, and I think is a very smart trick by the filmmakers, is that the young kid who has this doll, Andy, is wearing the same exact outfit as the good guy doll, Chucky. And so when Chucky is starting his murderous spree, you see POV shots from his point of view, and you briefly see him go by. You don't see him in full view. So it's, in a way, playing with your mind, trying to get you to think, oh, is it the doll? Is it Andy? That's a smart decision there, and it's a very smart decision to also not show much of Chucky when he's actually in these murderous killing sprees. It's very much implied that it's Chucky, with a dose of, is it the actual kid? And I love that about this movie. One of the best scenes in the movie occurs right after this, right after Maggie is killed by Chucky, where Andy's mother is actually looking at the doll and she realizes he doesn't have any batteries in him. And she is begging him to come to life. And one of the freakiest moments in this movie is when she threatens to throw him in the fire and she says, "Talk to me, damn it!" And he just comes to life and he's like, "You stupid bitch!"
Come on, talk.
I said talk to me, damn it!
All right. Then I'm gonna make you talk.
Talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
No!
Andy is resourceful for a 6-year-old. This kid is making breakfast for his mother in bed. Because it's his birthday. It's 6:30 in the morning. He wants to open presents. He just wants that damn Chucky doll. This kid is awesome. Having this movie follow a kid instead of an actual adult, having the adults be the supporting characters instead of a kid makes sense, because adults aren't really going to play with dolls like this unless they have kids themselves, which this movie could easily have gone down that route, but it made it more relatable because it's a kid, it's a doll, and it's a killer doll that comes to life. We had toys like this when we were little. I mean, fucking look at Toy Story. Toy Story, we always wonder what happens with our toys when we're kids. This is when we're kids. What happens with our toys when we leave the room or when we leave the house? Do they come to life? Toy Story, in a way, like, obviously it's a fantasy. Toys don't come to life, but it like, after watching Toy Story kind of answers that question in like a fantasy way. Like, Toy Story looks at it as, hey, yeah, the toys come to life when you are not in the room or when you are not present at home, and this is what happens when the toys come to life. But what happens if one of those toys is a fucking serial killer? That's what this movie tries to do. And I would assume that if you were a little kid watching the original Child's Play, you would probably be freaked out, because you would probably look at your toys and your dolls and say, which one of you is going to try and kill me tonight? You would probably sleep on the inside part of the bed, not the outside, where it's easier for you to get stabbed, because you're probably afraid your toy is going to come to life. That's where the leap with Child's Play comes in. And it's interesting because we always think about Toy Story, but Toy Story came out 7 years after this movie. So technically, Child's Play did it first. I love the lore behind this movie too, is that there's this serial killer that this cop has been trying to take down for years now. This serial killer named Charles Lee Ray. He gets shot, but then he performs this voodoo ritual because he's inside this factory of good guy dolls, and he performs this voodoo ritual to put his soul into one of these good guy dolls, and that doll just happens to go to Andy. It's really interesting, and I like how the series plays up that lore, and I like how it evolves throughout the series. I actually like, I forget if this movie touches upon it. It might, that anytime like Chucky gets hurt, if he feels like the how do I word this? The human part of him feels it. Like if he gets shot, like there'll be blood splurting out, I guess. That's probably the easiest way to explain it, because I suck at explaining things, and yet here I am doing movie reviews on YouTube, explaining stuff. And half the time you're watching, you're probably like, that makes no goddamn sense what he's saying. But what makes Child's Play so scary for a lot of people is the idea of your doll coming to life and trying to kill you. It's a fun slasher film, but I do think it does take itself, compared to the sequels, a little bit too seriously, and that was probably the intent. But there's just so much more you can do with a killer doll that I think the sequels actually touch upon, especially the second one, that this movie doesn't really touch upon. It feels like this was kind of a trial and error type of run for this series. And then once it took off and once it was successful, they were like, okay, now we can try and make it a little bit more fun, more satirical, which they eventually get to. And I hate Seed of Chucky, just so you know. But for what it is, I think it works. Where I think this movie falters is we're going to go back to Andy for a minute, because why is this kid taking public transportation with this killer doll? He's skipping school. He's like in Chicago on public transportation with no parental or adult supervision, walking through the slums. Like, I get it. Okay. You have to suspend your disbelief in a movie like this, but there's only so much disbelief I can suspend. That kid should have been kidnapped by like 30 homeless people walking through those slums. And he probably should have been killed when Charles Lee Ray's old partner blows up the house. He was in the vicinity of that area. Like, how the fuck is this kid still alive? How is he not kidnapped? It's just that stuff. Like, obviously, again, you have to suspend your disbelief, but I can't help but just have that stuff cross my mind when I'm watching this movie, and it brings it down a little bit. It's actually legitimate criticism I have when it probably shouldn't be. I'm gonna give the original Child's Play a B+. It's a fun enough movie for what it is. I do think it takes itself a little too seriously, but hey, it started this whole Chucky craze, and it makes you wonder, well, if my toys come to life, what happens? But what if my toys come to life and one of them is a serial killer? That's what it is. It does that well. And the rest of the series, it gets more fun and more stupid as it goes on. But sometimes that's what you need. And either the end of this year or next year, I'll talk about Child's Play 2, my favorite in the entire series. So if you have seen Child's Play, the original one, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.